Hey, it's so good to be back and to be awake. Um, I had a great day yesterday because I did the thing that all people should do, guys, when you are trying to win or run a marathon and not a sprint. Yesterday, I did stuff outside the arena, but that meant, like you, I could watch the key moments from home, join the stream last night. I was giving comments here over at Mary Trump Media, and I finally, at last, had the opportunity to get over to that fabulous place that I had heard about called the McCormick Center, where the Dem Palooza was. You need a special ticket to get in, and I was able through the connections that brought us here. Hey, good morning, Susie, to get over there. So I want to tell you about the structure of today's morning, Jen. And I do have an exciting, a video this time to talk about Crazy Town. We are back on track with that. So I'm going to start with you guys first with what went on inside the arena. Then I'm going to pivot to Donald Trump's sad rally in North Carolina and his unhinged tweets, because yes, there's something even crazier than that. And then I'm going to share with you, woohoo, all the swag. I've got 3 t-shirts, several buttons, and some stickers that I've collected, some through just gifts from people, others I've purchased outright, and some were making donations to organizations to support their efforts over at Dempalooza. I feel like a whole person. I feel like mission accomplished already, except for one thing. Tomorrow night, tomorrow night, oh my God, it's Thursday. Tonight is why I am here. I am here for this moment of history to watch a woman. I know this happened to Hillary Clinton before, but I wasn't there. The first time for me to be present for the official nomination of a woman in a major party ticket for president of the United States. But the reason that this is historic is I believe that Kamala is going to win. I believe we will be able to say, Madam President. And it's going to take hard work, and it's going to take enthusiasm, and it's going to take hard conversations. But we're going to go out and do something. We're going to get to work. But tonight is going to be joy for us. Okay, so again, I'm starting with inside the arena. We'll go outside the arena, including to Donald Trump's weirdo rally, and what I gathered on my hunt for swag, and then after that we will get to Crazy Town, because it is bonkers, my friend. And the Crazy Town, hint hint, actually happened not inside the arena itself, but in the United Center, in the perimeter of the arena that I talked to you about. Now, if you want to know the setup of the United Center, then you should go to Tuesday morning's show, because I kind of explained that to you. I don't need to repeat that now. Okay, let's talk about the themes inside of the arena last night. Remember, for those just joining now, I wasn't there yesterday. I watched from the stream at home so I could accomplish some other things and rest up. I am so rested and so not tired now. I am ready and happy for tonight's big events. Okay, so inside the arena, I know that people think the star was Stevie Wonder, and I love me some Stevie Wonder, and amazingly having him play Higher Ground and watching that, it was like a rock concert. And yes, I wish I had been there, but it was still moving from the Mary Trump live stream. It was incredible. But the real star, and you might also think the star last night was Governor Walz, who reintroduced himself to the American people, some for the first time here at the convention. But that wasn't the star. And you might say Bill Clinton, I could go on and on, but the star of the show last night, without question, was Project 2025. I have never seen a political party stay so on message and hit a theme that's so important to distinguish the Harris ticket from, the Kamala Harris ticket from the Donald Trump ticket, than talking about Project 2025, because it draws the biggest contrast. And the themes, of course, are the difference between the Democrats who believe in freedom and expanding possibilities and choice and mind your own business versus this dangerous dystopian agenda, which would strip away more of our freedoms and has been admittedly supported by Donald Trump, even though he says he hasn't. We saw the undercover video last week. Go back to that episode. You'll see it. I think if you look at the thumbnail on Morning Jen, I think I don't recall what the thumbnail was. But it was about this undercover video. I'll tell you later in the notes. But remember, this was shot by the Climate Organization Group, and they were undercover. These guys who were able to get in to speak with the leader from the Heritage Foundation who organized the project. It's made clear that Trump just has to say he's not supporting it, but he really is. Okay, so definitely the star last night was the Project 2025 because several people, I counted at least four, talked about it and hit it from different angles. The most significant one was from Keenan Thompson from Saturday Night Live, who is always flippin' hysterical, but nailed it. Very effective way to communicate the dangers of the project. Okay, but before we get to that star, I will say that my favorite thing last night was Hakeem Jeffries, my favorite person. If we, the Dems, take over the House next year, I mean, if we win the election in November, and the Dems are sworn in, and then I think they will be absolutely voting for Hakeem Jeffries as Speaker. I mean, I know the whole House votes, but their votes would be there, obviously, if the Dems have power. And Hakeem Jeffries is brilliant. He's smart. He's charismatic, and he knows how. He knows how to. What is the expression today? He knows how to clear a bitch. And if you don't know what that means, Google it. Anyhow, this is him telling Donald Trump, "Bro, we broke up with you." Let's listen.
Ahead will not be easy, which brings me to you know who. Donald Trump is like an old boyfriend who you broke up with, but he just won't go away. He has spent the last 4 years spinning the block, trying to get back into a relationship with the American people. Bro, we broke up with you for a reason.
I can't get enough of Hakeem Jeffries. Utterly brilliant. There's more that he did that I loved. He just laid it out there about what we need to do on Monday, on Tuesday, on Thursday, and Friday. If you listen to that, I'm sure but many of you are here. As Vidalian Green said, he killed it. Jeffrey Havanga, I probably spelled your name wrong. I'll just pronounce your name wrong. I'll just use your first name. So Jeffrey says he was brilliant. I also want to say someone above, and I want to see who it was, said that, of course, was Neil, they played Neil Young's Rocking in the Free World as Tim Walz's walkout music. And why that's particularly significant, why that's very significant, is that a lot of, as you may know, there are these central clearinghouses to license music. So radio stations, and if you're at a restaurant or a gym or other places, they can just pay a blanket license to use music. Obviously, if you just have a subscription. Well, I don't want to listen, I'm not going to get into a copyright lesson. I start to go down that path. But the bottom line is Neil Young does not subscribe to those services. If you want to use his music for an event like this, you need to get a license. And as I recall correctly, Donald Trump tried to use it and he got in trouble. So this is Neil Young. Yes, I'm hearing Rosanna. Neil Young absolutely sued Donald Trump. He does not want his music or his legend associated with fascism, obviously. So it was kind of, in addition to being a beautiful song for Walls to Choose, an amazing song, for anyone who is either Gen X or baby boomer, it also is a diss to Donald Trump. Now, still inside the arena, and before I get to some of the Project 2025 business, I need to move to a serious note. There is, as you know, there are more than 100 hostages still being held in Gaza. And this is dating back to October 7th. And not a day goes by when I don't think about that, and how if Hamas had not engaged in that attack on Israel, there would not be this war. And if Netanyahu had done a better job and listened to the women who are actually down there by the border warning of this attack, it would have happened. But the bottom line is Hamas made this choice, and they sent people in to slaughter, to murder, and to rape civilians and drag them into Gaza. And now we have this terrible war. And I don't like how Israel's prosecuting this war. I don't trust Netanyahu. I think there should be a ceasefire, and I think there should be a two-state solution. But don't forget that this didn't have to be this way, and that this happened in the middle of a negotiation. But at any rate, I don't need to get too much into geopolitics. You know that I treasure the life of all children and all families, and it's a tragedy that in the land where so many religious traditions honor the spaces, that there cannot be peace. And so last night, it was an incredibly moving and touching moment that the parents of one of the hostages, Hirsch, I think Goldberg Pollen, they spoke, and I want to bring that bring that right now for you to listen to.
At this moment, 109 treasured human beings are being held hostage by Hamas in Gaza. They are Christians, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, and Buddhists. They are from 23 different countries. The youngest hostage is a 1-year-old red-headed baby boy, and the oldest is an 86-year-old mustachioed grandpa. Among the hostages are 8 American citizens. One of those Americans is our only son. His name is Hirsch. He's 23 years old. And like Vice President Kamala Harris, Hirsch was born in Oakland, California. Hirsch is a happy-go-lucky, laid-back, good-humored, respectful, and curious person. He is a civilian. He loves soccer, is wild about music and music festivals, and he has been obsessed with geography and travel since he was a little boy. His bedroom overflows with atlases, globes, maps, and National Geographic magazines. On October 7th, Hirsch and his best friend, Honor, went to a music festival in the south of Israel. It was advertised as celebrating peace, love, and unity. They also went to celebrate Hirsch's 23rd birthday. As rockets began to fall, Hirsch, Honor, and 27 other young festival goers took refuge in a 5-foot by 8-foot bomb shelter. Terrorists began to throw grenades into the shelter. Honor stood in the doorway and repelled 7 of those grenades before the 8th one killed him. Altogether at the Nova Music Festival, 367 young music lovers were killed. This was just one of the many attacks on neighborhoods and communities in southern Israel on that terrible day. In total, 1,200 were killed, including 45 Americans. Hirsch's left forearm, his dominant arm, was blown off before he was loaded onto a pickup truck and stolen from his life and me and John into Gaza. And that was 320 days ago.
I don't know how she had the courage to stand up there, and I am glad the Democrats gave her a platform. And I want to say this: there are children still suffering, and families suffering and starving in Gaza. Period. This war has to end. Hamas needs to be defeated as a political movement, and the international community, people who care about peace and not about their own individual power, need to fix this. But unfortunately, it's going to take a real commitment, and that commitment will never come from Donald Trump's administration. I am hopeful that Kamala Harris, with the biggest heart I have ever seen for a politician and a brilliant mind for rallying and organizing people, look what she's done in 4 weeks, can make this happen. Okay, let's shift now to, as I said, the star of the show, which was Project 2025. Actually, before I shift to that, because this is going to be one little thing that I will mention. Of course, Governor Tim Walz was a lead, and it was wonderful to see him. And I'm sure that you also, with me, enjoyed and felt moved by the photos of his family smiling and cheering for him, especially his son, who has what Tim Walz has referred to as a nonverbal developmental disability, which does not mean that he can't speak or process language. It means that kind of the opposite, that his learning disability is unrelated to speech, I believe. And he has also issues around autism and so on. I don't want to define someone by and away from, by their differences. I'm mentioning this because it's important for this. And he was so moved by his father being up there on stage that he had tears streaming down his eyes, and he stood up and said, "That's my dad." And think of the love in this family that this beautiful son is embraced for his whole self. And, part of this, how touched he is and so moved so proud of the man he knows is his father. And you can just look at the way Donald Trump treats his kids. I don't know if you saw at the Republican National Convention when Tiffany walked up to approach him and he kind of brushed her aside. She moved in for a kiss and he turned his face. That family is nothing like the Walz family. And it's a sad situation. We've all heard the expression, hurt people. They can do it on the global scale. So I want to share with you first, this clip from Tim Walz, actually talking about Project 2025. One of the things I found so touching, we all know that Tim Walz was a history teacher and a football coach. And we know that he brought one year the football team to a state championship that they won. And we know that he also was the faculty sponsor of the LGBTQ club. I think it was called the Gay Straight Alliance. I think that's what they called it. At any rate, it turns out he did more than that, like as if he had more free time. This goes to his love and his commitment. Let me play this for you and we'll talk on the other side.
I grew up next door to the Walzes in Mankato. Mr. Walz was also my geography teacher and my coach. Not for high school football, but for 7th grade basketball and track. So what was a high school football coach doing, coaching 7th grade basketball and track? Well, there was a kid in the high school who couldn't afford to pay for lunch, and he ran up a lot of debt. And Tim and Gwen decided they'd help pay it off. They started calling around the district to see if there were any positions they could fill to make a little extra money, and that's how he wound up coaching us 7th graders. That's right. Coach Walz got us excited about what we might achieve together. He believed in us, and he helped us believe in each other. And his leadership stuck. That track team went on to win a state title, just like the football team. That's right. Speaking of which, come on out, Scarlets. Yeah.
Okay, on this, I'm trying not to cry now because as someone who is an educator, I love to see my kids when they're kids, my students when they've grown up. You know, it's amazing when you see, I used to teach undergrad after I've left corporate law, and then I became a law professor. And to watch my students, even I teach first year students, first I taught contracts, now I do Civ Pro, and to watch them in one semester have their minds and mature and their self-confidence grow and temper the ways in which they communicate to be more effective advocates. To watch that happen in a semester and then to see them 3 years later when they graduate is enough. I feel the pride, right? And then later to have them come back as successful lawyers and in other fields, there is nothing that brings me more pride. And I can't imagine what it's like for him to see them there supporting him. I never like to ask anything of my students. I'm here to serve them. And I know he was that way. And I feel the same way. I want to shout out, she might not be listening, but I had many excellent elementary school teachers. One of them is Cease Vitrano. Now her name is Cease Vitrano Strine. And now that I've moved back to Michigan, we're going to connect in person. She was my third grade teacher. I still remember details of third grade, including we had this thing at my elementary school every Friday. They called it Super Quiet, Uninterrupted Reading Hour. And that's stand for squirt. And people thought that was funny. And it was 1 hour when everybody was supposed to, the whole school, whether it was Eldon Postema, who was who was in charge of cleaning the school, or it was the teachers or the kids. And when we were, sometimes the teachers would read to us. When we got a little older, we were all given our own books, or we had our own books and we would read to ourselves. And I remember Ms. Vitrano, she must have been, I don't know, just right out of college. She would sit there and she was reading us this book called A Cricket from Times Square. And and she would sit there, and while she was reading, I remember she had her legs crossed and she would sit in a chair and we'd sit in the carpet around her. And this was the 70s, and she had this pair of espadrilles, and her espadrille would slide off and on of her heel. These are the details that I remember. It's sort of silly. Actually, I wonder why she was reading to us, because I think, oh, that's right. We had a different teacher later. She had gotten pneumonia that year. Okay, I don't need to go back into elementary school, but it means so much to me to have these teachers in my lives. They were so influential, as you know, and that Walls did this job, and not only did the job, but added extra work because he wanted to make sure kids could afford school lunch. And then when he became governor, he made it universal for the state. And that's what should be done. Okay, so let me let Walls speak for himself. And this is when I'm going to pivot to this. As I said, the star of the show last night was Project 2025. So let's hear, I'm going to hear Tim Walls. I feel like I have him right here, but I wonder if, there we go. Let's listen.
But not everyone has that same sense of responsibility. Some folks just don't understand what it takes to be a good neighbor. Take Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. Their Project 2025 will make things much, much harder for people who are just trying to live their lives. They spent a lot of time pretending they know nothing about this. But look, I coached high school football long enough to know, and trust me on this, when somebody takes the time to draw up a playbook, they're going to use it.
That's such a good metaphor, and he's right.
And we know if these guys get back in the White House, they'll start jacking up the costs on the middle class. They'll repeal the Affordable Care Act. They'll gut Social Security and Medicare. And they will ban abortion across this country, with or without Congress. Here's the thing. It's an agenda nobody asked for. It's an agenda that serves nobody except the richest and the most extreme amongst us. And it's an agenda that does nothing for our neighbors in need. Is it weird? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's also wrong. And it's dangerous. It's not just me saying so. It's Trump's own people. They were with him for 4 years. They're warning us that the next 4 years will be much, much worse.
Okay, right? So I'm going to give you another clip, just small ones from others who mentioned it till we get to Keenan Thompson, who nailed it. So, okay. We've got Cory Booker, and let's listen to Governor Booker, I should say. Let's listen to him talk about it.
This is a fight that affects every single American, no matter where you live, so-called blue states or red states. If Donald Trump has his way, he's going to push through their extreme agenda. Project 1825. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I roll that back. I got that wrong. Project 1925. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Project 2025. That poisonous agenda where every single state will be in a state of crisis.
Okay, so we got Walls telling us about Project 2025 with detail. Cory Booker using humor to let us know that this is so backwards that you could even call it Project 1825 or Project 1925. It is backwards. And let's now listen to Josh Shapiro talk about it before we get to Keenan Thompson, who just brings us home.
Kamala Harris,
Governor Shapiro, sorry,
has spent
Pennsylvania.
her entire career making progress. Donald Trump, a man with no guardrails, wants to take away our rights and our freedoms. And listen, while he cloaks himself in the blanket of freedom,
I'm sorry,
he's
Booker is a
offering
senator of New
isn't
Jersey. I'm so
freedom
sorry,
at
of course.
all. Because hear me on this, it's not freedom to tell our children what books they're allowed to read. No, it's not. And it's not freedom to tell women what they can do with their bodies. And hear me on this, it sure as hell isn't freedom to say you can go vote, but he gets to pick the winner. That's not freedom. But you know what? You know what, Democrats? We are the party of real freedom. That's right. The kind of real freedom that comes when that child has a great public school with an awesome teacher because we believe in her future. Real freedom that comes when we invest in the police and in the community so that child can walk to and from school and get home safely to her mama. Real freedom that comes when she can join a union, marry who she loves, start a family on her own terms, breathe clean air, drink pure water, worship how she wants, and live a life of purpose where she is respected for who she is.
Okay, so you can see why, and by the way, let me just make clear, yes, Cory Booker is a senator from New Jersey, and of course, Josh Shapiro is the governor of Pennsylvania. You can see why people like him so much. I'm still totally thrilled, though, that Kamala Harris chose Tim Walz because he has a way, of course, Josh Shapiro is brilliant, as is Walz. Walz has a different kind of way of connecting more broadly with the public. I think, I would put Shapiro in as AG, Attorney General, or in any other role. He also is obviously a very skilled with rhetoric, and maybe he wants to run in the future for a higher office. Maybe he wants to run for Senate or what have you. But that was also, again, putting front and center as a star, Project 2025. Now, the moment you may have all been waiting for, and what I have is the opportunity now to hear Keenan Thompson, one of my favorite comedians, nail Project 2025. Let's do this, guys.
Hi, Keenan. It's great to be here.
Thank you. All right, good. Now,
goodness.
Becky, you're married, correct?
I am. Me and my wife have been together for about 8 years.
Oh, that's amazing. Very, very cute.
Thanks.
But I have got some bad news for you.
I hate that.
On page 584, Project 2025 calls for the elimination of protections for LGBTQ plus Americans. So yeah,
That's
right back
terrible.
to the Stone
Yeah.
Age. I'm afraid so.
Right back to the Stone Age. That's terrible.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, Becky, for being here and making that wonderful point. All right, next up, we have Nirvana. Nirvana, are you with us? And your people are with us as well? All right, good. Now, Nirvana, I understand
Yes.
that you are on insulin to manage your diabetes, yes?
Yes, and thanks to President Biden and Vice President Harris, I only pay $35 a month for my insulin.
Hell yes. And Donald tried to steal
That is
that
great.
and take credit for that
That is great.
in one of
But-
his speeches.
On page 465, Project 2025 calls for millions of people like yourself to pay more for prescription drugs like insulin.
Why?
Why? Well, I guess maybe to help Big Pharma make more money that they can donate to Republican politicians, I assume.
Oh,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes, unfortunately, it does make sense.
Love
All
him.
right, let's talk to Anita. Anita, are you there? Yes. Hello, Anita.
Hello.
And Anita, what do you do for a living?
I'm an OBGYN who delivers babies and does surgery.
An OBGYN. She is an OBGYN that delivers babies. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. It's bad news, isn't it?
It sure is. On page 459, Project 2025 resurrects a law from the 1800s called the Comstock Act to ban abortion nationwide and throw healthcare providers in jail.
Oh, my God. That is awful.
Yes, it is awful. All right, let's do one more. Is Sharia with us? Sharia, are you there?
Hey, Keenan, I'm here.
Yes, Sharia, I love it. All right, let's talk to you. I understand that you work for the federal government?
Yes, sir. I'm in the United States Department of Education. I'm a proud civil servant and a proud union president.
She works for the Department of Education and she's a proud civil servant. Well, unfortunately for you, on page 78, Project 2025 calls for President Trump to purge the civil service of everyone who isn't a MAGA loyalist. Are you a MAGA loyalist?
Now, Keenan, absolutely not.
I'm just asking. I mean, you might as well be, because also page 319 calls for the complete elimination of the Department of Education. There's a bunch of stuff in here, but that's all we have time for at the moment. Just remember, everything that we just talked about is very real. It is in this book. You can read it online at kamalaharris.com/Project 2025. And most importantly, you can stop it from ever happening by electing Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States.
Am I right? Is that not the most effective discussion of Project 2025 that you have ever seen? I did love Jason him dropping the book. Yes, you can dig in to the details if you want, but it really worked to do that, positioning this. Are you one of the people who are going to be affected by this, and making it so damn funny? Now, two things. We are, this show's a little longer than normal. So what I'm going to do is later today, remember to tune in at 10:30 a.m. Eastern for, I'm not ending the show yet, but I just want to put a pitch in. On Mary Trump Media, it's going to be Mary, Danielle, and I at 10:30 a.m. With our show called What Happened Last Night. And I will use that opportunity to share with you the swag I collected, because I don't want to I don't want to drag this out. I'm going to get to outside the arena with Donald and then get to Crazy Town. And so I promise, I'll just shake this bag of, I've got all this. I've got a bunch of stuff to share with you. Let's do that at 10:30 today. And remember, we also have Nerd Avengers. So there's going to be plenty of time to recap and talk with more analysis. But let's wrap this thing up by first, again, talking about outside the arena. So Donald Trump, sadly, was trying to do some counter programming, but it was so pathetic. I mean, he is not drawing the crowds he used to. He was in North Carolina, and he was outside, and he was behind a kind of plexiglass. He's having these events outside because I don't think his campaign wants to spend the money or has the money on indoor arenas. The difference would be indoor arenas, the security is extremely tight, right? They search everyone's bag. There is security everywhere. That is, security obviously comes from, the Secret Service, et cetera, but there's also additional security in any arena. And of course, it's expensive. Okay, so let's do this. Let's watch Donald Trump and his sad little rally not make any sense. I got one more thing on Donald before we go to Crazy Town.
Every American was safer under President Trump. In fact, the entire world was safer when I sat behind that beautiful Resolute desk in the Oval Office. I heard the other day, for the first time, I heard Biden say, the beautiful Resolute desk. He never said that before. They copy me. When I say we're a nation in decline, guys are copying me. Then they say they shouldn't say that, but they thought the words were beautiful. But they copy me all the time. In that case, it was Republicans that were copying me because they...
Oh, my God. It's called the Resolute desk. He doesn't have a monopoly on the word beautiful. And as for a nation in decline, he thinks he coined that expression? Look, you don't have to have a PhD in digital humanities. You can just Google the terms and see the trend of when expressions were used. You don't need to own the full set of the Oxford English Dictionary to know that Donald Trump did not coin the words he uses, and that none of this is original. And it's just baffling. Okay, last thing before Crazy Town. He, of course, was putting out more unhinged tweets that were deeply anti-Semitic, calling Josh Shapiro the Jewish governor, and just, claiming just in this unhinged way that no one has been better for the Jewish people other than Donald Trump. No, nothing has been better for the Jewish people other than the space laser that Marjorie Taylor Greene says we have. Shh, don't tell anyone. Anyhow, no, it's ridiculous. It's anti-Semitic. And then the other thing he did, he was on an interview show, and I tweeted this out. I don't think it was Fox News. I'm forgetting who it might have been with because I didn't see the chyron. But Donald Trump said, and it was like a radio call-in, and he said to the host that if Jewish people support Kamala Harris, or if Jewish people don't support him, that they should just go out. And then he said that was some kind of expression. To me, go out sounds like a mob expression, like should be taken out. I found it really creepy and weird. But of course, I like to make fun of things. And as I like to say, is like, what does he mean Jewish people should go out? Should we go out for a brunch? Should we go out to get a little nosh? Should we go out to get some fresh air, but be sure to wear a sweater? You might get a chill. I mean, like, what the hell? I don't know. His mind is completely gone. He is a danger. And that's what I have to say about him. It gets worse from here. But the good news is he was ranting at his rally yesterday, saying he couldn't come up with a good insult, a good name to call Kamala Harris. And he's talking about all the different things that he's called other people. I'm not going to repeat the stupid, childish names, but the best he can come up with, he said, is Comrade Kamala. So great. I mean, whatever. Like that's really going to do it for you, Donald. Work harder. He's not going to have. He doesn't have the strength that he used to have in terms of this. Even his most pathetic, sort of low end rhetoric, he doesn't even have. Okay, let's do Crazy Town, my friends. Okay, Crazy Town is something I missed because I wasn't in the arena. But yeah, Mr. Pillow. Mr. Pillow was inside the arena. He must have had a pass. I'm not sure how he got one. You don't even get inside the building without one. Okay, so he had some credential. When I say pass, I mean credentials, like to go even through the door. To even, even get to the door, you've got to go through security. But, I guess he had what he needed to do that. And he spent his time with his little camera crew harassing a child. Now, this is a kid who is internet famous. And he doesn't use his real name. I think his Twitter handle is something like Noah, the Knowa, and that's all I'm going to tell you because I don't want people stalking him. But you can probably find. I tweeted this out, so you can probably find his Twitter handle. Let's watch this and talk about it on the other side.
You are. We go to paper ballots and count.
Ask him what proof he has in his spirit. How do you know it's
Which election are you talking about? There was one. No. There was one down in Georgia. 3 Democrats.
I'm from Georgia.
Okay, there's 3 Democrats in Georgia in the summer of 22. She's a good friend of mine. She got 0 votes in her own precinct.
Who is it?
Yeah, so Brenda, I'm not telling you her last name on your stuff.
I see.
But you see. But let me tell you.
No proof.
No, the proof. They looked into it in Georgia.
Okay.
Crooked Brad Rasmussen, your Republican Secretary of State.
Okay.
He looked into it and said, oh, it was a computer error. They gave her back her vote. She went from 3rd to 1st. She's a friend of mine. Another gal, Democrat, 4 counties over in Georgia. She got 4,600
But where's
votes,
the proof?
but she wasn't on the ballot.
You want me to take your word for it, right?
No. This was in the paper.
So what's your last name?
This was in the paper.
She's an elected official.
Okay, let me tell you. In Georgia, I will tell you, an Obama-appointed judge last fall, this case has been going on 3.5 years. Alex Halderman, this is in your state, so you should be up on that.
This is
Alex
unbelievable,
Halderman,
you guys.
He's a Democrat, and he's also a cyber guy, and he looked into the machine, and he said there's problems. That judge last fall ruled, she ruled in your state. She said, we're going to look into this, we're bringing it to court, and the experts say there's problems, and she said, and if you question it, you're not a conspiracy theorist. So I got to take off my tinfoil hat. Now guess that, in her courtroom on January 9th in Georgia, now maybe you didn't see this in the news, maybe you're not up
This
on
is
that.
absolutely bonkers.
I am. I'm up on your bankruptcy too, sir.
Alex Halderman with a ballpoint pen hacked into the machine in front of the judge.
Oh my God, he said, I'm up on your bankruptcy too, sir. Yeah, so I'm going to tell you the handle actually because he's pretty well known. It's Noah was taken, KNOWAWASTAKEN, and he's a fabulous content creator, 12-year-old. Let's continue. I just want you to hear what I was just laughing at. Okay, let's do it. And then we'll finish this out.
January 9th in Georgia.
Okay.
Now maybe you didn't see this in the news. Maybe you're not up on things. Alex Halderman.
I am. I'm up on your bankruptcy too, sir.
Alex Halderman with a ballpoint pen hacked into the machine in front of the judge and switched the whole election in front of her. Now that case is still in Georgia. She has not ruled on it yet. That's in your state. You want to know more in your state?
So
They just found 257,000 votes. This happened last week. A judge ruled in Georgia that are missing from the 2020 election. This just came out. You're behind.
So your source is Trust Me, Bro? That's your source?
The source. It's in your papers in Georgia. You need to read your news.
You haven't given me any last name.
You need to read your news.
So your source is Trust Me, Bro? This kid is brilliant. I think Mr. Pillow Mike Lindell needs to call his sponsor. He does not look good. His veins are bulging. He's wearing sunglasses inside during the daytime, and he is yelling at a 12-year-old. So what you saw there is what MAGA has become. He is being owned by a 12-year-old, which is not hard to do, actually. But this kid is brilliant. I absolutely adore him. Okay, so thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, today at 10:30, go over to Mary Trump Media, where Danielle Moody, Mary Trump, and I will be talking about what happened last night, as well as at noon, Nerd Avengers. It's been great. Of course, I'll be back here. Tonight I will be doing some live streaming and some uploading of videos from the convention. I am going to also be this afternoon at a special lunch featuring Gwen Walls, the first lady of Minnesota, and hopefully soon to be the second lady in the White House. And that is going to be, I think someone's live streaming it, but I'm actually going to be in the room. I'm very excited about that. And then I'll be immediately off to the convention. So thanks for joining me. See you soon at Mary Trump Media at 10:30.